So I know I've built this reputation of being glazy or super positive about the Washington Commanders and thinking they can't do no wrong in my eyes. And that's just far from the truth, as I love this team, but we're far from perfect. In fact, today we're going to talk about something that I'm a little bit concerned about when it comes to this roster. Let's talk about it.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jayden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jayden Daniels' career and he's already milking injuries?
Stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and Shawty is the winner. You can tell that Shawty's love again now. She's confident.
So what's good, y'all? The fellas are back on the field today. It is an inside the bubble practice, so I'm not sure if we'll get too many notes and nuggets about training camp today, but I wanted to come on here to talk about something that I'm concerned about, and that's the wide receiver position. I know all offseason long we've talked about Terry McLaurin and the contract standoff between him, and the general manager, his agent and whatnot. But I do think Terry McLaurin being out kind of put the stress on the totality of the whole entire wide receiving core as we know it to be. And I feel like, this is just me being honest, I felt more comfortable about the wide receiver room headed into last year than I do right now. And you may be like, Juan, how is that the case? As you have a bona fide number 2 receiver now alongside Terry McLaurin, of course, when he gets his contract extension. How can you feel worse about this position group when it in fact got better? We're back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Juan Gotti Command Extra post-game show is back for yet another season. Following each and every Washington Commanders game, call into the number 240-804-7327 to have your voice heard on the show. Win, lose, or draw, happy, upset, or mad, make sure you call into that number because I want to hear from you after every single game. And to that point, I'll say, yes, we finally got our bona fide number 2 receiver in Deebo Samuel, who we hope turns out to be a number 2 weapon. Let's just put it that way. But beyond that, we don't have anybody that I think you can go out there and say, I can solidify myself as a dog, a part of this wide receiving core. Outside of Terry, Deebo, and Noah Brown, those are the 3. There's no one else that I feel comfortable with that I can say, I know they got my back. I know they're going to be a dog out there on Sunday. Of course, you got the Ja'Cory Brooks potential. But again, that's potential, right? Luke McCaffrey, a lot of people are up and down on Luke McCaffrey. Again, I've already made the video how I think he has some opportunity and potential to turn into something, but then you have the section of fan base that think he's just complete not good. And when I was at Osborne the other day, he did have a pass that he dropped, and not that you can't drop passes, but when you're having this kind of exposure and expectations for year 2 to make some type of progress, you have limited mess ups. And a lot of fans are already kind of over the Luke McCaffrey thing. Like, Jaylen Lane is cool. I think he'll be a dominant punt returner nonetheless, and I hope he can turn into something special when it comes to a slot receiver, but it's nothing that we have seen yet. It's a rookie. And I say all that to say, think about it like this. Last year, it was Terry, Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus. Now tell me you wouldn't feel comfortable with adding Deebo Samuel in there, and then let's just go Jaylen Lane or Luke McCaffrey, whoever you feel like should be your 6th receiver be. Maybe it's Luke McCaffrey, maybe it's Jaylen Lane, whoever. But on who, that 6th receiving core does not look much better and put you in a better comfortable state than what we are in now. And mind you, I'm a big Michael Gallup fan, right? I thought Michael Gallup was going to be something. I haven't heard much out of him from training camp. Maybe he still makes this roster. But again, those are the kind of guys beyond the first three that we're depending on. You know what I mean? And just being totally honest with you about it, I'm not too comfortable about that. Like, I remember in the offseason, we let De'Ami Brown walk. And that was cool. And like we said on the Burgundy Breakdown, shout out to Reedy and Z and Brian and Ball and Burgundy Podcast. Make sure y'all check out our collab channel with the Burgundy Breakdown. We said, okay, understanding that De'Ami wanted his money and letting him walk was cool. But letting Olamide Zaccheaus walk as well is something that I feel like you couldn't. You had to pick one, keep one. You let both walk, which ultimately left two holes to fill. See, I was a big De'Ami fan. After the exposure and dominance he showed in the postseason, it was like finally in the final year of his contract, he showed something. And you couldn't have imagined or paid me to believe, for that matter, that De'Ami Brown wasn't going to be back in a burgundy and gold. Especially without the Jacksonville gave him 1 year deal. But that's the thing that concerns me about this receiving corps. We don't have another guy outside of the first three that has done it before. Michael Gallup's done it, but it's been years. Chris Moore, he's been in the league for 10 years, but it's Chris freaking Moore. Luke McCaffrey has 1 year of experience, but you know what I mean? I think now the more I'm talking, the more I'm thinking about it as we continue on, I think I'm more of a veteran-heavy receiving corps. I think that's the kind of dude that I am. Like, unless it's a Malik Neighbors or a high first round draft pick receiver, I think I would just rock out with heavy vets. Maybe sprinkle in one rookie. But think about it. You got Jaylen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, and Ja'Cory Brooks as the three young guys that we think can make this roster. Imagine if all three of those guys make the roster. Because that's a possibility. Again, this wide receiving corps is not talented to where you can leave off of Ja'Cory Brooks and just exclude him out of the conversation. I'm not even bringing in Jacoby Jones and Sanders. I'm not even talking about those guys neither. But this wide receiving corps, it concerns me, y'all. It does. And knowing that we have the quarterback that we have, this is not Juan saying we're going to be trash. This is not Juan saying this offense isn't going to still be electrifying. This is Juan saying that I think we may have messed up letting too many of our vet guys go. Like even Jay Crowder, even JC Ice, right? Not just was he clutch as a punt returner, but he held his own as a slot receiver, came up big in the Eagles game. So even though JC Ice was on his last leg here and he probably wasn't going to be back, it's like, dang, you don't got one or two more veterans you could have kept around. Like, you kept Noah Brown. That's about it, though. You added Deebo Samuel. That's good. But who else behind those three guys? It's like we finally got a bona fide number 2 for Terry, but it's like we got worse behind those guys. God forbid they have to step in and assume a bigger role for one of these two receivers in Deebo or Terry. Knock on wood, of course. You don't want that to happen. But you can't sit up here with a straight face and tell me you wouldn't feel comfortable more with having to have De'Ami Brown assume that role opposed to Michael Gallup at this point of his career or Chris Moore. You wouldn't feel more comfortable with having Olamide Zaccheaus step in for De'Ami Brown opposed to Jaylen Lane. Like, think about it. I trust me. I'm giving these guys fair opportunity. I want Jaylen Lane to turn into something special. I believe he will. But just taking it as face value and putting it on paper right now, it definitely felt like this receiving core is taking a step back. And then you look at the joint practices. You look at training camp. I was out there at Osborne 3 times so far this summer. And when they say, whether it's my guy Louis T, Ed Oliver, Protect Sports, Pedro, Rio Robinson, Lake Lewis, and even the media members as well, not just us content creators, when they say it's in street scores, right? It's Debo in them. That's what they mean. I've seen it vividly. You've seen it vividly. It's truly Debo in them. Guess you throw Zach Ertz in there, but we're talking solely receiver position. There has been nobody outside of Debo Samuel, and in my opinion, Ja'Cory Brooks, that has set themselves apart from the rest of the pack. Everyone else sluggish. Why do you think that Patriots defense was able to really give some bump in that preseason game? Because one, yes, those starters played, but the reserves at the receiver position weren't doing nothing but Ja'Cory Brooks. And of course, it doesn't help that Sam Hartman is your quarterback, of course, right? Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and act like they had Mariota. They had Mariota. I feel like they would have been a better showing, but it still doesn't excuse drop passes. KJ Osborne, notice how I didn't even mention his name because he's not making this roster. I guess KJ Osborne would be somewhat better than Luke McCaffrey or Jaylen Lane because he has the veteran presence. But no, at that point, I'd rather rock out with my rookie because he has potential. KJ Osborne hasn't done nothing since being in Washington. Didn't do nothing in New England. So that begs the question: when a Keenan Allen was available, should Washington had went out and got him? Amari Cooper, like, what are we doing? Let's address this veteran, add more vets to this room is essentially what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Having somebody out there that actually knows how to get it done and has got it done at the NFL level. And of course, I was excited about this receiving core prior to training camp starting, you know what I'm saying? But it's like after seeing it up close and personal, after seeing it in the joint practice, after seeing it in preseason week 1, and we'll probably get a better look at it week 2 versus the Cincinnati Bengals, as your man Juan Gotti will be live in attendance at that game. So come check me out. Come say what's up if you see me. We'll be there, so we'll get a better view because the starters will play. So we'll see how they look with Jayden Daniels. But I'm still not too impressed of what we have. That's why, in my opinion, this preseason game is huge, because let Cincinnati go out there and stop this starting offense from moving the ball or scoring effectively. It's going to raise some concern. It's going to raise some concern here in the fan base, and it's going to rise Terry McLaurin's profit up, because he continues to show you how important he truly is to this organization. But it's not even about the starters, really. It's about what's behind them, because I do think Noah Brown's a bona fide number 3 in this league. Look at the stats for the last 2 seasons: 500 receiving yards, 400, almost 500 receiving yards last year. Had he not, got the kidney issue, and had they counted his pass interference yards calls into his total, he probably would have had over 600, maybe 700 receiving yards. Because not only is he a good player, but he draws damn good pass interference calls down the field. So I think Noah Brown's a bona fide number 3. It's not about the starters. I don't have many concerns about them. It's behind those guys. When we go, 4 receiver sets or empty set, you know what I'm saying? Where it's 5 wide outs, right? Or Terry needs a breather. Debo needs a breather. Who's going to be that guy that steps up? At this point, it's a little bit concerning to see that there hasn't been nobody but my undrafted free agent, Ja'Cory Brooks, that has shown flashes. And even himself, he's had plays in which he dropped some couple passes and whatnot, but I'm not too harsh on him because he's an undrafted free agent. He has room for error. You know what I mean? So that's all I wanted to come on here to talk about, is just I'm slightly concerned about this wide receiving core beyond the starters. And I felt like had we at least kept Dayami or Olamide, we probably would be in a better situation. But letting both of those guys walk, it's tough because it's not like these guys were world beaters by any means statistically, but you had an ascending, clearly, Dayami Brown. And not to mention, he's 4 or 5 years in at this point of his career, so he has the veteran presence that I feel like is lacking outside of the starting 3 receivers. That's why I think that's probably what gives Michael Gallup the edge over Ja'Cory Brooks or someone else, maybe Chris Moore, but I don't see him making this roster. Given Michael Gallup has his history of a 1K season and having his history with DQ in Dallas, he probably has a better chance to make this roster. And I'm hoping that he proves everyone wrong, because I've been a Michael Gallup fan since day one. But sometimes you got to call it how you see it. But that being said, as always, been boy Juan Gotti. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out SeatGeek, as we are a partner. Use code Juan Gotti to get $10 off your first purchase. I'll catch y'all later. Make sure you call into that post-game video once the game is concluded on Monday. Peace.
Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey never seen a line.